Hey best friends, I'm Claire.
I'm Yana.
Welcome to
My Best Friend's Book Club.
If you're new here, hopefully you're not at this point.
Come on, guys. Catch up.
We pick a book and then we read about 50 pages each week, and then we meet to discuss and talk notes, world events, life, and just carry on into the next 50 pages.
Yes.
So,
she is correct.
If you can believe it or not, we've made it to the end of Bright Young Women.
Oh my God, here we are.
It was a journey, but we are here at last.
Finally.
Thank you, Lord and Lordesses. So we have a lot to discuss. We have some secret news segments we're going to go through with Yana.
My God.
She doesn't know what they are, but she will.
No. I quit.
But first, before we get into all that fun, we're going to start with our standard recapping of where we were at, just to help ground us back in the story. We'll go through our summary, into discussion, and then into secret news segment.
No.
Don't say that.
I'm scared. I feel like it's going to be an attack on my memory and my reading comprehension.
You're right.
Oh no. At least I can remember that I can't remember.
You're not too far gone like Carl.
No, Carl.
R.I.P. Well, I guess R.I.P. to your memory. Are we allowed to say that?
As someone with memory issues, I can say it's okay.
Okay, so what happened in the last 50 pages before the ones that we read for this week? Our main characters. Pamela faces the defendant in court. She's almost not able to testify because of Ruth's mom, Shirley. But
Surely a bitch.
honestly, into the end, absolutely. But Pamela is able to convince the judge otherwise, and she's able to testify. In most present day Pamela, she meets Carl, who is, working through his dementia, and he's in hospital, and she's able to retrieve... Why are you laughing at me?
He's in
hospital. And she's able to retrieve the lost memories and manages to get him to share some information that helps lead to Ruth's body's whereabouts. Back in time, we go with Ruth. She's decided not to go to Lake Sammamish with Tina, and instead she goes to her father's memorial service / garden ceremony. But after being there for a little bit and having to deal with her mom, Shirley, she decides, fuck this shit. She's done with Shirley, she's done with her fam, and she's like, I'm gonna go meet Tina at the lake and enjoy my life. For the summary we're about to go through, I did want to mention a light trigger warning. There is some pretty intense moments in these 50 pages where we really learn about Ruth and how she is a victim of the defendant. So trigger with sexual assault and murder and all those kinds of things. So if that's not something you want to listen to, go back to
a different podcast.
The first episode.
Oh. But then follow us for season 2.
That's right. We're going to be reading a new book, which we'll tell you about at the end here. So, summary of what happened in the last 50 pages.
Take us home, Claire.
Let's do it. Let's go home together.
Finally.
So, in present day, Pamela requests the audio and the video files of the defendant's rumored Lake Sammamish confession. These are the ones that Carl told her about in hopes of locating Ruth's body. She finds there's no confession on these tapes, but these tapes do have information as to who the defendant's father is. And the rumor is that the defendant is a child of incest, i.e. between his mom and her dad, which I didn't know if that is real.
Yeah, I heard about that. There was that rumor.
Oh, yeah, like for real?
Mm-hmm.
Something we'll talk about at the end here, but I continue to be frustrated between like the based on true events version of this book because it makes me question everything, even things that are really true. I did have a quote in here. She says,
Are we at quotes already?
Oh, I like to just bake them in sometimes. Should I
Bake
not
them
do
in.
that?
No, bake them in, please.
Okay.
I love a bake.
Pamela says, there's little that can be done to substantiate the rumor that the defendant was a product of incest. But here are enough links in the logic chain for me to believe it to my marrow. So that's almost like, well, it must be true. So then this plays into the next part where Pamela decides to leave the family law firm and open up her own practice focused on
mitigation.
Oh, good.
Which was not that common back then. I need you to
Yana
stop
is
treating me Like, I could not do things.
It only took.
I need you to believe in me so I can believe in myself.
I guess we'll all see if we believe in you at the end.
Well, that sounds threatening.
I do have another quote. Pamela says, but mostly I continue to be drawn to mediation because I know better than anyone that all American sex killers are not born, that they come from broken and battered homes, human systems that fail them well before they reach the penal ones, and then they go out into a world that tells them that women are deserving depositories for their impotence and rage.
Same exact quote that I say.
It's a good one, right?
It's a really good one. That, especially that last bit of it.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get into that.
Hell yeah.
Into our discussion points. So then we go back years later. Pamela comes to find that the Lake Sammamish confession tapes do exist. And she just didn't tell the police exactly where they were. Because, you know, that's what you have to do sometimes. She says, nor did I know that when they closed the case and the files should have become available. Someone else got their hands on it and requested all copies be destroyed. A woman by the name of Rebecca Wachowski.
Who you may remember.
Oh yeah, who's Rebecca?
Well, Rebecca is Ruth's sister-in-law, but also her childhood lover.
Good job. I'm so proud of. We're all clapping.
I am so annoyed with you right now.
That was a good quote, though. I was like, I'm sorry, Rebecca, what? She came out of nowhere and started playing a really big part in this story.
Yeah.
So then this leads to Pamela. She goes to meet up with Rebecca to get the tapes and a box of evidence that was given back to the family. It's Ruth's items that were, you know, in evidence with the police department. Rebecca picks up these items. We find that Shirley kind of just decides that she, you know, is pretending Ruth never existed at this point, and Rebecca felt bad. So she goes and collects the items and the tapes. So Rebecca puts up a bit of a fight, and she kind of has this weird profession of love for Ruth, which I thought was just kind of...
It was a little too late.
So you were right.
Yeah, I think she showed her actual love for Ruth and her jealousy of Tina.
Yeah.
Martina.
Very good.
Once again, I made Claire proud.
But Pamela does have an affidavit, and she's able to get the items, which she then hands over to Tina, and the two of them decide, of course, they're going to listen to the tapes so they can hopefully find Ruth's body. And then we go into the retelling of Ruth and how she came to be a victim of the defendant. So basically what happens is once Ruth reaches Lake Sammamish, she finds a spot to hang out in the sun. It's a very sunny, wonderful day, which if you live in Washington, Seattle area, when you have a sunny day, you've really got to make the most of it. So
stay trapped in your house because it's too hot out.
We're going to get more into this in discussion points, but I feel like she didn't try to find Tina really fast. She's just she kind of quickly accepts.
Well, they didn't have phones back then.
So that's what I wrote. Yeah. I was like, well, they didn't have phones, but I don't know. I feel like I just would have kept searching for my friends until I found them. I don't know. I felt weird that she was just like, whatever.
I think she was also, though, so pleased with herself for, standing up for herself and leaving her father's thing. Yeah, so I think she was just relishing in the moment, and that park gets packed on a sunny day. And yeah, no phones. So, I mean, I would have kept searching as well.
I'm going to enjoy this sunny fuck day, and I'll find Tina eventually.
She doesn't know it's her last day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spoiler.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is it? But of course, the defendant, he approaches Ruth, and he plays this role of a friendly, harmless guy, essentially pulling on Ruth's heartstrings. He's wearing an arm sling, and he's pretending his friends ditched him. And so he essentially convinces her to come to his house to help him with his boat.
But she's kind of the whole time got a little
voice that's not sure.
But then she keeps fighting it and just goes with it.
Which I think is interesting and is part of discussion points.
Oh, okay, so I'll shut up.
That's right. Be quiet. Just kidding.
Okay, no, I'll
it's a one-woman show. Just kidding. Okay, so then Ruth, she says over and over that she has bad vibes. That's what I wrote, just like we said. But she fights against that and decides to just kind of keep going on with this act. But once she's at the house, he drops his, quote-unquote nice guy act. He pulls out a gun and he makes her get undressed. Mm-hmm. I have a quote here from Ruth. She says, "The sling hung around his neck, sweat wrinkled and abhorrent as a used condom. Whatever was broken in this man was not a bone in his arm." was a good one. But this whole like finality of the used condom, the kind of ickiness of it too at this moment, it's just a very good analogy to that. Good job, Jessica Knoll.
I kind of got a little scared during this. It was a scary description of what happened.
It made me feel sad and scared for her. Also, she has these metaphors with like cooking with Tina. Do you remember this? Like even when her final moment, she talks about like how Tina was like eating the cheese. But I thought about you.
Oh, thank you.
You like to cook so much. And I was like,
what if I was one of the
it was like
victims?
her thoughts maybe could have kind of been like your thoughts and made me really sad. Okay, getting back into it. Ruth is, trigger warning, sexually assaulted. She's gagged. She's left there with other women that he's holding captive. And eventually, this is like a really intense moment, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, just give you the gist. Obviously, you should just read the book if you really want all the details. But eventually, all the women attack, and this doesn't end well for any of them. And the section ends with a court transcript of the defendant's closing remarks, which I meant to look up to see if they were real or not, because there's so much real, not real in this book.
Yeah, I don't...
Did you look it up?
No, I started watching the defendant tapes, which I also couldn't find for a while because I kept speaking into my remote, the defendant tapes. And it kept pulling up like weird YouTube things. So when I said the real thing... I started watching it, but no, I have not confirmed. The only thing is I don't remember ever hearing like a story about the woman fighting back.
No, I think this whole story at Lake Sammamish is actually a lot different if I remember correctly. Like, I don't remember them going in his car to his house with them, but I don't remember
that
I thought
either.
He walked them to like the parking lot.
Yeah, and I thought there was like, it was like a VW Bug car that he would drive or something.
Yeah, he does have that.
And I thought there was one girl who did go to his car, but then got scared and like managed to escape.
Yeah, it's hard to... At the end here, we're going to talk about like final ratings of the book overall and things we like, things we didn't. And if you can believe it or not, that's one of the things that I struggled with. So anyway, getting back into our summary. After that court transcript, we jump to the current timeline with Pamela. She's getting coffee at a Starbucks. Shout out.
Support local.
There's a new hit show being featured about the defendant.
I wonder what show that is. The defendant tapes, maybe?
This is where we get to hear how the judge addressed him after the verdict, calling him a bright young man, which is what we talked about in the last episode. Quote, Pamela says, how many movies do we already have about him? And this time, he's played by Zac Efron.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I remember
that moment. So the book ends with Tina getting a call from a woman in the forensic anthropology department. Her name is Gail. Do you remember Gail?
Yep.
Listener, if you remember, we met Gail way back.
Oh.
That's right. At the health conference. Ruth rode the elevator with Gail.
Yes.
Gail told her about the murders in the area. We find out that after the defendant confessed to dumping Ruth's body in a hillside in Issaquah, Gail is part of this anthropology team, and she tells Pamela and Tina to plant ferns in a specific area. And if the ferns bloom red, that is a sign that there was a body there. And if they grow green, then it's just, sort of regular soil.
Very cool new fact I learned.
Indeed. So the book ends with a quote from Pamela. Things grow differently when they're damaged, showing us how to occupy strange new ground to bloom red instead of green. We can be found brighter than before. End of the book. Close it. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the defendant being a child of incest and how monsters are made, not born. What's your view on it?
I think it's a mix. I think there's people who've also had great childhoods, as far as we know, I guess, who do evil things.
If you had to pick a lane, if you thought they were made or they were just born,
I mean, if I really had to pick one,
you just have to pick one.
I think I would go with the maid.
Yeah, I feel like your environment has a lot to do with how you're raised, but at the same time, there are stories of people who have very seemingly normal childhoods and upbringings, and then they turn out to be monsters. So Yeah, I think it's probably a mix. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Rebecca. She asks that all these tapes get destroyed. She keeps Ruth's belongings to herself. I felt like
we find out Shirley's dead at this point.
Thank God.
Bye.
But I just feel like all of a sudden her level of importance as a character just went through the roof, and she just kind of came out of nowhere with Shirley's dead. I've destroyed all the tapes except for the one that she has, and she wants all of Ruth's belongings, and she's like holding them near and dear to her. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe she was just jealous of Tina.
I think she was super jealous of Tina.
I feel like she was just always present. I was like, girl, where'd you come from? Like, you dipped out of Ruth's life and you married her brother and had fucking evil ass Alan and whatever.
Who also never like really got talked about again. I mean, he got briefly mentioned, but not in like a character type thing.
At the end of this, I have a section called things that we thought were important but aren't, and that's one of them.
Alan was just put into this book to anger us.
I feel like there were a lot of things that were planted in this book to help with character development, which is like fine, but they were kind of extreme to the point where you thought as a reader they were going to mean something more when really they're
just say it in like a couple sentences, like her nephew Alan's a bitch and makes her feel terrible about herself. Move on.
Her. But then there's like whole ass pages and chapters about this kid, and then he never comes back, and you're just like, okay, I guess, man. I don't know.
Yep. As well as like the brother.
There's a lot of moments of that.
We'll get into this later.
I literally wrote them down. Okay, let's talk about Ruth's unfortunate death. This whole part was like really intense, and I hated how he like pulled on her heartstrings. You just know how to do it, especially with women, right? Like he had a sling and he's like, oh, my friend stitched me. Like he pretended to
meet my parents.
Yeah, like he just played this super nice guy. Like he knew exactly how to get in.
I'm a lawyer. Like all that, I don't know, like this super trustworthy, just great guy.
Right. I still feel weird that like she went with him. I literally wrote
Especially
down,
Yana,
why did she go with him? Is it because it's the 70s?
Yeah, in the 70s you would always go with a serial killer. No, I mean I think it's crazy.
She has no interest in him.
Well, no, she's also very happy with the fact that she's a lesbian.
Yeah, she loves the shit out of Tina.
She's very happy with the fact that she got to stand up for herself when her dad never could, and her dad died not knowing his identity. Yeah, but she got to just be like, no, this is me. So yeah, I'm not sure why she was like obsessed kind of with this. I mean, there's not obsessed, but there's a lot of detail of her like people watching her be approached by this man and feeling beautiful. And it is weird when she's not interested in men.
Yes. Like, why would you even go with him if you're not interested? Like, do you genuinely want to help him? Like, what? No.
But also, like it's just what he was asking her to do was a lot. Like, there's a difference, I think, between like, help me load my kayak into my car because my arm's broken, versus like, you also now have to drive with me
to my house. I literally can't.
And Tina, she hasn't even seen Tina yet, so Tina doesn't even know she's there.
Right. That's where I kept getting caught, and that's where I was like, I honestly can't remember what really happens at like Sammamish with this story, but I don't know. I feel like they made Ruth kind of easily fall into this trap that maybe wasn't realistic. Like, she's a lesbian. She doesn't like men.
Who does?
Like, why would she entertain that? Sure, be nice, whatever, who cares? But then, like, go with him to his house to help him with his boat when, like, she's not equipped or capable of that. Like,
no, I think being nice is like, oh, you have a sling? Let me, like, lift this bag for you and walk it over here while I'm gonna then immediately walk away.
I was like, I feel like this is maybe a bit of a stretch that she would be like, okay.
And this is during a time where, like, people know women are disappearing. Right? Like her mom didn't want her to go to this support group thing because, God forbid, this man is just going to like kidnap her.
And she literally talked to Gail in the elevator at the freaking health conference. I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit of a stretch. I wish I could remember the actual events, but I was just like, I'm not sure this feels realistic.
I wouldn't not do that.
Oh my God, no. No way, man. If some guy was like, oh, come help me with my boat, my parents in my house, I'd be like, bye.
Bye. I guess you've lost a boat. Go, leave it here. Bye.
No way, dude. Like,
at most, I'd maybe be like, well, I have to find my friend Claire first. And then we're going to see if a few of us are available to help you load the kayak. And then maybe your parents can help you take it out of the car.
I would literally never.
He lies quickly on the spot. He had good answers for everything and he had them fast.
Probably did it a lot of times.
I wonder also why he waited all the way to the house and not like
To
he had her
attack
in the
her?
car.
It was super creepy when he got her in the house and then he was like pretending
Yeah.
to talk to his mom in the
Yeah.
kitchen. She's like, oh yeah, and we're making roast or some shit.
Yeah.
And then she comes in there and is like,
Where's your mom?
impossibly confused. And then he's just like, boom.
Yeah, she doesn't even notice the gun at first because she's still like
Yeah,
looking
she's
for
in
his
such
mom. I mean, I think that if I walked into that house and I heard him talking in the kitchen to his mom like he said he would, I think I would calm down a little, which she probably did. She's like, okay, there is someone.
I wouldn't have gotten in a car with him. I don't
No,
but
absolutely not.
it's also 2025. I don't know like proper etiquette for the 70s. If that was like a thing you did.
I don't know. There's literally a serial killer on the loose. They know.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe that's just general like safety. Even beyond. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, it wasn't very bright for a young woman.
Good one. Good one, Yana. Anyway, so Ruth is forced to have this sexual encounter with the defendant, and she compares it to her ex-husband, CJ. She says, there were times with CJ that I'd been disgusted too, that I hadn't wanted our skin to touch, that I had to grit my teeth and will him to be finished with me. At least I didn't have to pretend to enjoy this, I thought. At least.
Yeah,
I hated that
also
for her.
had noted that. I mean, she described the whole thing as like not as bad as she thought it was going to be. You know, that she heard a lot of stories about this happening to women, and
She was like, it's okay.
she's like, I'll still be able to get married. I'll still be able to have a family. Like, I'll still be able to do all the things. Like, I'm going to be okay.
That's literally the other quote I have.
Yeah, and I think that's some like adrenaline and shock
Shock,
running through
for
her
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, I think had she not been killed, that she probably would have found herself not feeling that way.
Yeah, I
afterwards.
felt sad for her that she even had these kind of experiences with CJ where she didn't.
Well, she's a lesbian and she is with a guy.
Yeah, she didn't want to be,
didn't wanna
with,
be with him.
Yeah, I felt sad for her that she was like, well, I had to pretend with CJ because he was my husband. But with this guy, she was like, well, at least I don't have to pretend to enjoy this. I don't know, it just made me feel really sad,
know.
and a little icky for it's like, poor Ruth, man, our girl.
Our girl
Our
Ruth.
fictitious girl. Slightly fictitious girl. That was the next quote I had, though. She keeps talking about how it just wasn't that bad. And he drives away and it just kind of seems like, you know, she was sexually assaulted and that sucked. But she's like, you know, it's okay. She says, I thought again that what happened wasn't so bad in the grand scheme of things. This sort of thing happened to women all the time, and they still fell in love, had careers, babies, if they wanted those. And I guess that just made me feel sad for women, because I think maybe that is something that we think when these things happen.
Well, you know, life has continued. There's still people on this earth. People are still making babies, and this just happens to women. So it must be okay. People get over it.
It's like the other quote earlier when they're like, it couldn't have been the defendant who killed people because women get attacked by men all the time. It's just like a sad fact. And it feels like it has to be brought up with our reoccurring themes of womanhood and misogyny.
So he had this gun that he was like threatening her with. It's a control tool.
Yes.
But did he kill any of his people with guns? It seemed like he tortured them more to death.
I think he more so like choked.
Yeah, I don't think I remember any of them having gunshot wounds. So it's just interesting. Like it was like a control scare tactic. Yeah.
Power play
Like
kind of thing.
Yeah, if you don't let me attack you and get, you know, my way with you, then I have this thing that could make you do it.
That little bitch.
Like, I'm still less than one episode into the defendant tapes, but it is really frustrating to watch what was talked about in this book.
I remember watching those tapes, so one of the things I thought about, and I think that's just because I'm small in stature.
But she can still fight, y'all.
That's right.
Don't
I'll
take
go
it,
for your
yeah.
throat and your hair and your
She's
eyes.
feisty. Oh my God, the
that's
look
right.
she got in her eyes just now.
I remember thinking how scrawny he was. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Bye.
Bye.
Rest in distress.
Rest
But-
in distress.
R.I.D. But
I love a scrawny, skinny dude, so I could see
it's just
the appeal.
It pisses me off that he was able to overpower them. He's just genetically built to be stronger. Is what I meant.
Don't fight us, you guys. We're also women. We
No,
support
fight me.
women. She'll kill you.
I haven't hurt anyone. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about with Ruth is she's feeling like he got her when she was finally flush with life. Quote, Why not a year ago when there was nothing to take from me? It was like he scourged the beach for the women most flush with life. And I felt that because I'm still upset about all the pages we had to endure with Ruth's acne. I'm still upset about it. I'm upset about it because of just the extreme focus on it, and its only purpose was to play into her now character development. I feel like, fine, let us know she has adult onset acne, but then it just felt like she was turning it into so much more than character development.
I agree. Yeah.
And then for that to be just what it was, like, bleh, but, that's where that quote kind of circled back for me, where I was like, okay, Ruth was grieving her complicated relationship with her father, which is honestly more meaningful, I think, than her adult onset acne. Sorry, I can't.
If you have acne, we apologize.
Listen, I've had acne. I just felt like in terms of character development, we could have done it in another way. But this moment hit home a little bit more because she was not in her true form, right? She was still dealing with her mom, living with her mom. She had her adult onset acne. She was in the grief group, making her fancy meatballs, trying to get people,
I love the things that stuck with you.
Meatballs. She was so with the meatballs.
No, she
and the
definitely,
parsley.
she was like she was finally living what she wanted to live, how she wanted to live.
She was like, yeah, Rebecca, I'm gay, and me and Tina sleep in this bed, and Mom, go fuck yourself, and CJ, you're fine, but I'm done playing pretend with you.
You guys just couldn't
Dad's
get with
gay
it.
too, bye. And it sucked that she had this thought where she was like, man, I wish he would have found me a year ago and I wasn't super happy. And he found me when I was my
sad.
brightest, shining self.
She's the brightest
She felt like
young
she had a lot
woman.
to lose at last.
It's really sad.
It is really sad. Poor Ruth. Rest in peace. Not in distress with the defendant. Sorry. I didn't want to talk about this court transcript. Did you Google it? Is it?
I didn't.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
It
The
literally
font
looks
changes?
like a yep. No, I didn't Google it.
It bothers me that this book flips so much from true and not true. I don't know what's true and what's not.
I feel like it must be true because it
thought so
also
too.
ends with the note that this is from the transcript.
That's what I thought too.
It was.
I meant to ask ChatGPT. Shout out, bestie,
babe.
new mate. All right, Yana, what do you think of the last line of this book about the ferns? I rewrote it here in case you need a refresher.
I would love for you to refresh it for me.
Things grow differently when they're damaged, showing us how to occupy strange new ground to bloom red instead of green. We can be found brighter than before.
But also
Brighter
could
women.
be
Oh.
yes. But I'm also back to the nature versus nurture, right?
Did you feel that was a home run hit? When you close the book where you're like, yeah.
No, I don't feel finished, but I do feel like that is telling part of the things grow differently when they're damaged, right? So that's kind of that nurture part.
Pamela talks about this too, how Denise's death, she said she was always going to become a lawyer no matter what, because her dad's a lawyer and family thing, but it felt more meaningful with her experience, and she was able to go into
mediation that was really specifically also focused on helping women and children.
So I feel like it's also kind of about her too, but
I mean, we are shaped by our experiences. I don't think there's any fight to that. Life changes us.
So maybe they do believe that the defendant is made more than born.
Maybe.
Anyway, on a very random side note, I personally need to say this, but I love that Tina became this mountain biking badass bitch. Remember this moment?
Yeah.
I have this quote. She's become a hardcore mountain biker. She's one of those people who knocks out the advanced biking trail at dawn and unwinds at dusk with a cigarette and 2 fingers of bourbon.
No,
she
good for her.
All right, Yana, what are your final thoughts on this book?
I'm so glad it's over.
If you had to truly rate it, not with food, like let's say 1 out of 5 stars, what would your actual rating be and why?
I would not recommend it to a friend.
Well, also, what's your stars?
3. It's fine. This was not the kind of book that made me feel like, God, I wish I could just stop reading this. But I wanted to read the real stuff more than this version. I wanted to watch the documentaries.
Yes.
I wanted to read actual nonfiction rather than this.
Yes.
And it was too much back and forth for me.
Too much back and forth. And then it would feel like something was building up and then nothing would come of it. And it was just like, Right.
Right.
I
I
guess, girl.
and it was made even more confusing that it wasn't just back and forth between characters, it was also time
Timelines.
between the
Yeah.
same characters sometimes, and I mean, I struggle, reader or listener.
I would say like 3 stars as well. My main beef with the book remains, I just don't like the towing of this line between fiction and nonfiction. I feel like I just want to hear the real stories of these real women. And I mean, I like and I appreciate that the defendant is unnamed and he's in the background and it's really about them. But the fictionalized parts, I feel like they cause confusion about what really happened. And then I feel like sometimes, I've said this before, but it feels like while these situations and experiences really do happen to women in the world, and they may even happen often, having them in this context where they're related to a true serial killer, it made it feel like maybe we were dramatizing women's experiences that are true. And it made me feel like people would just believe women less. And that could just be me and my experience as a woman and just, feeling too insecure about that. But I just wanted to know about the real women, their names, their lives, their stories, how it related to the defendant, with him in the background, and with all the fictitious characters and situations. It just, and then the things that were real, I don't even, I'm like, was it? I'm like confused about the story of the defendant now when I felt I used to know so much about
No, yeah, I feel the same way. And I can see why this book could have been controversial for the families involved, because it is like they use the character of the person, but then make up a whole different
how would
backstory.
You feel if that was your daughter or your sister?
Ruth is that girl that got killed by him from Lake Sammamish, but it's not Ruth, right? We don't know, was there this whole family background and this drama?
Maybe the family didn't want to share that story, so I guess you could come up with a fictitious version, but it's also kind of like if the family doesn't really want to talk about it, maybe just
it does feel a little like taking advantage of, the story and opportunity to...
I feel just a little icky about this.
Sorry, this is the first book we started off with.
But
what's done is done.
We're going to jump into a fun summer read next. It's going to be great. It's a hot new read. We'll get into that at the end. But before we get into that,
Help.
We're going to jump into this new segment called What Does Yana Remember?
This is cruel. Okay. And I'm sure there's something in there somewhere in the American Disability Act about how this is not okay.
I'm going to literally keep points of how many she gets wrong and how many she gets right. And
this
if
is
she
cruel.
Passed the test of understanding the book or not. So, Yana, the sorority was attacked.
Yes, true.
How many girls died and how many were brutally injured?
2 died, 2 were injured.
Good job. Yana gets a point. That's me writing.
Yeah, she's
if you hear
literally keeping score.
Okay, the 2 that were murdered, what were their names?
Denise.
Mm-hmm. You got this.
And the other Denise. Honestly, I think that is pretty telling of the story, that we don't really focus on the women killed. We just focus on Pamela and Tina and Ruth and the defendant.
I respect and appreciate your argument.
Thank you.
So we'll give you a half a point.
Thank you.
Maybe.
No, half a point.
Would
for
you like
Denise.
to know the answer?
Yeah.
Robbie.
Who?
Robbie. Denise and Robbie.
I would never guess that.
We're going to give you a half a point.
Thank
you.
That means you get half a point too. Yeah, I'm
you
trying to
for
keep it
probably
fair.
using my
I think rules exist to make society run
We
properly.
will fall within them. Who is Frances?
Oh, I know.
Honestly, I thought you were just going to nail that one out of the fucking...
Frances runs the support group.
Good job. She's friends with...
Tina.
Good job. Okay. Hey, I'm not going to... I thought you were
This
going
is
to get
abusive.
that. Sorry, okay. Why does Pamela kiss Carl?
She's into him.
No, something happens. There's a very distinct moment where she's like, and then I just kissed him. She was overwhelmed.
Because he was going to help him, fakely.
Remember, he goes to Seattle to get the evidence about the Colorado cover-up, and then he comes back and he meets up with Pamela and is like, guess what? You're not going to believe what I got.
Oops.
Remember, he shows...
No, I obviously don't remember, Claire.
Okay. It was the things that the defendant had on him when he was arrested. One of the things was a pamphlet from Florida State University, and she becomes so overwhelmed that she kisses him. Okay, the conference Tina and Ruth attend in Aspen. What kind of career professionals is that for?
Therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists.
It's people...
Behavioral scientists.
It's just health professionals. I think we'll give you a half a point for that, since you were kind of in that field. Okay.
I didn't realize this was freaking harder than...
How did Ed die?
Which one's Ed? Oh, Tina's husband, Ed, was poisoned by Francis with an allergen.
Do you remember the allergen? Bonus point.
Shrimp. Curry paint. Pancake.
Paste.
Shrimp paste.
You can have your point.
Thank you. I deserve that point. Okay. That's like way too much detail. Nobody cares.
Sorry, I was pushing hard. Which city is the defendant finally arrested?
Colorado? Denver.
No.
Florida.
Yes, but it's a city. You want me to tell you?
No, hold on.
Okay.
Miami. Orlando.
No.
Fort Lauderdale.
No, you're just guessing.
Palm Beach. Is that a city? Oh, what is it?
Pensacola.
Oh.
It's a point for...
I feel like I should get... I don't know.
What is the main dish that Ruth makes for the dinner party?
Meatballs next.
No.
Oh.
The dinner party.
Chicken next. Roast chicken.
Fine, I'll give you that.
It was moist as shit.
What is the name of Denise's on and off again boyfriend?
Roger.
God. How old was Pamela when she was abducted?
4.
Oh my God, look at you go, girl shit. How did Tina stop her bald spots?
Serum ass shit. Rogaine for her. Went to some spa.
Remember, she's helping Pamela in the sorority house, and they're cleaning out Denise's supplies
Of hair thinning.
They find like a hair supplement that she starts taking.
Okay, product placement.
You don't get that one. It's okay. Later on, Pamela gets a call informing her of Carl's dementia. Who called her? This is a character we met at the beginning of the book who comes back at this moment.
Grace? Retta?
No, you're thinking of Gail. That's a different woman anyway. From
Blondie?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah. Linda.
Oh my God. You got it the last minute there.
Yeah.
Did you see my mouth forming?
No, I was literally trying to think of characters that were...
Good job. Okay, we're going to give it to you. Okay, last question. What is the name of the defendant's only women defense lawyer?
Jennifer.
No. You were so sure. Sorry.
Jasmine.
No, it doesn't start with a J.
Maxine.
It starts with a V.
Veronica.
Good job, but I'm sorry, you can't have that one. The good news is that you got more points than me, so you remembered most of the book.
What's my prize?
You get to stay on the podcast.
Ask me more questions so I can lose. And get off of this.
I thought it would be fun to
test
your
fun.
memory.
Well,
It's a good
why don't
time
you do
for all of
this
us.
in coordination with a neurologist?
I also wrote a section down of things we thought mattered but really didn't. These are things that we thought were like big plot driving moments, but they just kind of helped with character development and felt like necessary to mention, but not super necessary to like go into extreme detail. So one of those things was Ruth's adult onset acne.
And Alan.
I have Alan in here. Tina's burning and branding of the New York Times reporter. Remember that at the beginning. I also have Ruth's time at the psychiatric facility.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I get it. It was, for her character development, but it kind of seemed like there was just so much more to that. Pamela being abducted at 4 years old.
Also.
That was the end of that story. And then Ruth's dad being gay kept coming up and just kind of was like...
I agree.
Those are the main things I could think of that I latched onto them as I was thinking they would continue the plot, and they just really didn't. So, what is your sexy side piece read? Look at you. We're gonna take a picture of this and post it on our Instagram. It's Yana winning the trivia. Sexy side piece book.
I am still on the dedication page, but the book is called The 3 Lives of Kate K. Claire, what are you reading? What's your sexy side piece?
I'm still on House of Flame and Shadow. Honestly, every page is wonderful, and I really, when I had to think about finishing the 50 pages of Bright Young Women, I didn't want to do it because I was just captivated. But once I did start reading these 50 pages, they were very fast and smooth and interesting. It's unfortunate, she saved all the good. It was one of those books where it's very slow. You get to the end and it just speeds up and then it's over and you kind of feel satisfied, but not really. So anyway, I'm still on House of Flame and Shadow. It's like 800 pages, but I'm halfway through, so I'm getting there. Okay, so the next book we're going to read is called Sunburned. It's a novel by Katherine Wood, author of Lady Killer. It's a hot new summer read, according to everyone we've spoken to, including the internet and ChatGPT.
Our best friends.
It comes out on July 1st, so grab it from your e-readers, libraries, although it's probably going to be hard to get from a library, but that's what we're going to start reading, and we'll start at the beginning of the book and stop at page 49. That is chapter 5. But we're going to get in with the hot new summer read, and it has some thriller vibes.
Love a thriller vibe.
That's right.
We have a type.
We hope you'll come and join us on this mainstream adventure. It's going to be wonderful.
We'll laugh that followed with it.
It's going to be wonderful. This was our first couple episodes doing a podcast, reading a book together. We hope you all enjoyed it. I had fun. We would love it if you would support the podcast and give us a rating on your favorite podcast streaming platforms.
And share with your friends.
Just punch that 5-star like it's Shirley and Alan and Brian.
And if you don't feel like it's 5 stars, then don't rate it.
Don't talk to us.
Yeah, stop listening.
Okay,
There's other podcasts.
We'd love it if people could tune in with this next book and follow along with us, send us your notes, interact with us on our socials. We just really want to have conversation and community in the book world. So
just someone to talk to.
If you're feeling so inclined, we would love to have your support and have you, follow the pod, rate the pod, interact with us on socials.
Share with your friends, read along, and
be well.
God bless.
Amen. We hope you enjoyed Bright Young Women. I think we're both solid 3 stars on it for all the reasons that we mentioned, but we'd love to hear what you thought too. So send us your final thoughts and notes on it. You can send us a Gmail at
mybfbookclub@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on our Insta or TikTok at mybfbookclub, and TikTok has an _. So with that, dear friends, thanks for tuning in, and remember,
keep on reading.